Hey, thanks for stopping by. Here's episode 9 of Keith Richards' Riff Cousins. We're going to look at back-to-back tracks on the Main Offender solo album. Stick around. I actually toyed with the idea of calling this episode 1 of Keith Richards' Riff Brothers. So closely related are these two tunes, especially back to back. In fact, I remember playing this CD in the winter of 92 or 93, whenever it came out, for a friend of mine in my car. And when Will But You Won't came on, he's like, that's the same song. How does he get away with that? And he's a fan of the band, a fan of Keith, but not necessarily a fanatic. I'm like, yeah, you kind of have a point, but a mere mortal might not have even thought that he had one complete song. But Keith is like, I've got 2. All right, let's take a quick look first at Runnin Too Deep. All right, so interesting thing that jumps out to me is this move here out of the C. This thing. Okay, this is it's a C7, then an F, G, C. Now this thing, this is not something you very often see Keith do. He'll do it here and here, like for that, but he very rarely ventures this far up for this kind of a sound of a dominant 7 chord, in open G anyway. In fact, I cannot recall him doing it ever before or after this song. It's not a completely, it's not an unusual move. Again, listen to Lowell George do it. Little Feet, Fat Man in the Bathtub. Start check, Billy got down on his hands and knees. So Lowell George was up here doing it like 8, 11, 7, 10. All right, so, and also Jimmy Page does it on In My Time of Dying. He's in open A, and I'm definitely not going to play a clip of that song because the video will get blocked. But he does something like that. So it's not unheard of in open G or in open tunings, but for Keith anyway, it is kind of unusual. So moving on from that, what I've spoken about in this episode series before is late period Keith. He is not interested in formulaic verse, chorus, bridge structure anymore. Mick very much is interested in writing that way still and always will be. Keith, not so much. I think he got bored with it. So now he just jams endlessly, and if somebody's patient enough to go back and listen, then they'll figure out what the A, B, and C sections are. And this is kind of cool. They determined that this part of the song is functionally going to be the bridge. So that's just what we've been hearing throughout the song with this little G7 move. But they've left any vocals out of it, and there's this little bass line. All right, so, and there's a harpsichord in the song. Ivan Neville's playing a harpsichord. Like, who thought of that? It's outstanding. Let's move on now to Will But You Won't, which I believe it's not in the key of G, it's in the key of C. All right, so you got all those moves, and there's, I think what we'll call the verse is this. Now listen to this part here. This kind of makes me laugh. So it's different than anything that came before it. Keith stays on the D. It's kind of like he was making a mistake, forgot where he was, and then he's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm supposed to go here. And then somebody probably went back and listened to it and was like, oh, we can use that, that's different, and we'll craft a different melody line, some background vocals on top of it, and maybe we'll have a bridge. But it's not a bridge, really, because then there's this other part. And that's way up here, 12th fret. It's just 10 and 12. All right, so that's more of a bridgey bridge than the thing that came before it. So then the song completely goes into a long outro that's just outstanding. As far as I'm concerned, it can go on like nonstop. I could listen to it for 20 minutes, and it's this part. That is just quintessential late period Keith Richards. You give him a groove and he's gonna fly. Just such a great, uncanny sense of rhythm, funk, and groove. There's nobody like him, and that's why we're breaking these songs down. I thank you for watching this far. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe.